Northern Exposure. The highly successful team.
Northern Exposure looked like a quirky show about a fish-out-of-water doctor in Alaska. But behind the moose and the small-town charm, chaos ruled. The creator vanished mid-series. The lead actor sparked a salary war that nearly killed the show. And one town in Washington became so famous, it's still cashing in decades later. These are 20 secrets about Northern Exposure hidden for decades. And the bonus? Let's just say the show's most beloved character was never supposed to exist at all. Number 20. The show was rejected by every network. Before CBS
Call out 5,000 miles for takeout.
Dr. Fleischman's office.
Jeff Sagansky suggested that the John Corbett character, it wasn't John Corbett at the time, should be a DJ.
Northern Exposure had a simple pitch. A New York doctor gets stuck in a quirky Alaska town. Culture clash ensues. Creator Joshua Brand thought it was gold. Every network thought it was career suicide. Brand and his partner John Falsey spent 2 years shopping the pilot script. NBC said, no, audiences won't watch a show set in Alaska. ABC said no, there's no romantic tension. Fox said no, it's too slow, too weird, too cerebral. Brand refused to give up. He kept pitching, kept revising, kept believing. Finally, CBS agreed to read it. They weren't enthusiastic, but they had holes in their schedule and needed content. They ordered a pilot with a tiny budget and zero expectations. The pilot tested poorly with focus groups who found it confusing and aimless. CBS almost killed it. Then one executive, a man named Jeff Sagansky, watched it alone late at night, and something clicked. He saw the magic everyone else missed. He greenlit 6 episodes, buried it in a summer slot, and waited. The ratings started small but grew every week. By the end of that first summer, Northern Exposure was a hit. The show every network rejected became one of the most critically acclaimed series of the 90s. Number 19, Roslyn, Washington, became Cicely, Alaska. By accident,
Northern Exposure, but that's where we're headed. Let's see here. So, just me.
Oh, poor Shelley.
Finally got hit by the flu, huh?
Morning sickness. But I'm ready when you are.
Northern Exposure was set in Cicely, Alaska, but it was filmed entirely in Roslyn, Washington, a tiny logging town 3 hours from Seattle. The choice wasn't creative, it was financial. Filming in actual Alaska would have cost millions. The weather was unpredictable, union crews were scarce, so the producers searched Washington for a town that could pass as Alaska. They found Roslyn, population 900, struggling economically after the local coal mine closed. The town was desperate for money and agreed to let CBS take over completely. They repainted buildings, they changed store signs, they built fake storefronts. The local cafe became the Brick, the show's iconic hangout spot. Residents were hired as extras, earning much-needed income. But here's what nobody expected. The show made Roslyn famous. After Northern Exposure premiered, tourists flooded in, thousands every year, looking for Cicely. The town's economy transformed overnight. Gift shops opened, tour companies launched. The cafe that played the Brick started charging admission just to take photos. Roslyn went from dying logging town to thriving tourist destination. And it never stopped. Even now, over 30 years later, Northern Exposure fans still make pilgrimages to Roslyn, searching for a fictional Alaska town in the middle of Washington. The show saved a real town by pretending it was somewhere else entirely. Number 18. Rob Morrow's salary demands nearly destroyed the show.
Get on over there now. That's it. Move in there close. Get that good now.
Rob, he vowed he'd never do television work again. But as our correspondent Jill Rappaport learned, all that changed when Northern Exposure came along and turned this 29...
Rob Morrow played Dr. Joel Fleischman, the New York doctor trapped in Alaska. He was the lead, the center of every storyline. And by season 5, he wanted out. Morrow felt underpaid compared to other TV leads. He was making $75,000 per episode, while friends on ER and Frasier were making triple that. So he demanded a raise. CBS offered more money, but not what he wanted. Morrow refused to negotiate and simply stopped showing up. Production shut down. Scripts were rewritten frantically to minimize Joel's screen time. Episodes were built around other characters, while Morrow stayed home in Los Angeles. The network sued him. Morrow countered. It became ugly, public, embarrassing. Fans took sides. The cast stayed mostly quiet, though rumors spread that they resented Morrow for holding the show hostage. Finally, a deal was reached. Morrow would return for season 6, but only 9 episodes instead of the full season. His salary increased, but the damage was done. The show's rhythm was broken. Joel's storylines felt rushed and incomplete. By the end of season 6, Morrow left permanently, and the show tried to continue without him. It lasted one more season before the cancellation. Northern Exposure survived moose attacks and budget cuts, but it couldn't survive its star's salary war. Number 17. Barry Corbin was cast after breaking his leg.
Anyway.
I was the one who originally brought Shelley to town. I first met her.
Barry Corbin played Morris Minifield, the bombastic ex-astronaut who owned half of Cicely. He was loud, conservative, and perfectly cast. But he almost didn't get the role. Corbin auditioned while recovering from a broken leg, hobbling into the room on crutches. The producers loved his audition, but worried about the injury. Could he work? Would it delay production? Corbin assured them the cast would be off in weeks and he'd be fine. They hired him. Then during the first week of shooting, Corbin re-injured the leg. It wasn't healing properly. Instead of recasting, the writers wrote it into the show. They created a storyline where Maurice gets kicked by a horse, explaining the limp. Corbin filmed scenes sitting down or leaning against walls, hiding his disability. But the leg never fully healed. For the entire 6-season run, Corbin dealt with chronic pain and limited mobility. He never complained, never asked for accommodations. He just powered through, delivering one of television's most memorable performances while quietly suffering. The cast didn't know how much pain he was in until years later, when Corbin admitted it in interviews. Every scene where Maurice stood tall, every moment of physical comedy came at a cost. Barry Corbin gave Northern Exposure his body, and it took pieces he never got back. Number 16. The moose was uncontrollable and dangerous.
I thought that the moose are, we can bottle raised deer, but they never quite tame down as far as moose. Moose are a beautiful animal as far as getting.
The opening credits featured a massive moose wandering through Cicely, becoming the show's visual signature. Audiences assumed it was trained, docile, safe. It was none of those things. The moose, named Morty, was wild, unpredictable, and terrified of cameras. Wranglers brought him to the set, hoping he'd cooperate for a few simple shots. Instead, Morty panicked. He charged crew members, destroyed equipment, and once kicked a cameraman so hard the man needed stitches. They tried for 3 days to get usable footage. Morty refused. He'd stand still, then suddenly bolt. He'd walk where they needed, then turn and run the opposite direction. The crew was ready to give up when a wrangler suggested drugging him slightly, just enough to calm him down. It worked, barely. They got 30 seconds of footage over 6 hours of filming. That's what you see in the opening credits. A sedated, barely controlled wild animal that could have killed someone at any moment. After that shoot, production banned live moose from the set. Anytime a script called for a moose, they used clever editing, faraway shots, or occasionally a person in a moose costume. The show's most iconic image, the moose that represented Northern Exposure's wild Alaskan spirit, was filmed once under dangerous conditions and never attempted again. In NEMS 15, John Cullum recorded all his songs live on set. Holling Veen Kerr, played by John Cullum, was a former trapper-turned-bar owner who occasionally burst into song. His deep voice and old folk songs became beloved character moments. What audiences didn't know was that Cullum recorded every song live during filming. No prick recording, no lip syncing, no safety net. Cullum was a Broadway veteran, a Tony Award winner who'd performed in major musicals. But singing live on a television set was different. One take, no do-overs. Whatever came out was what aired. and Cullum loved it. He insisted on live performance, saying pre-recording felt fake and emotionless. The directors were terrified. What if he missed a note? What if the sound didn't capture it properly? Cullum didn't care. He'd stand at the bar, wait for his cue, and sing, pouring everything into each performance. The crew would freeze, barely breathing, capturing magic in real time. Some takes were perfect. Others were slightly off-key, a little rough, and beautifully human. And that's what made them special. Holling's songs felt spontaneous and real because they were. Every note was genuine, unrehearsed emotion. Years later, Cullum admitted those live singing moments were his favorite parts of the entire series. Not the scripted scenes, not the comedy beats, just those brief moments where he could sing and pretend he was back on a Broadway stage. Number 14. The creator abandoned the show. Mid-run.
The tone of that movie, I just fell in love with it, a character-driven show. And then I had seen a movie called Never Cry Wolf.
For a year, and in and out of weeks, and through a day, and into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper.
Joshua Brand created Northern Exposure, built its unique voice, guided its early success. Then halfway through season 4, he vanished. No warning, no explanation, just gone. Brand later admitted he'd burned out completely. The pressure of running a network show, fighting with executives, managing actors, it crushed him. He stopped sleeping, stopped eating, and stopped feeling creative. One day he walked into the writer's room and realized he had nothing left, so he quit. He left his own show and moved to a cabin in Montana where he had no phone, no television, no contact with Hollywood. The remaining writers and producers scrambled to continue without him. John Falsey, Brand's partner, tried to maintain the show's voice, but something changed. The magical realism felt forced. The quirky characters felt like caricatures. Critics noticed, fans noticed. Ratings started declining. Brand watched from Montana, occasionally hearing news about his show, but never reaching out, never offering to help. When Northern Exposure was canceled in 1995, Brand sent a short letter to the cast, thanking them and apologizing for leaving. But he never came back to television. He'd given everything to Northern Exposure, and it had taken everything back. The show he created continued without him, but it was never quite the same. Number 13. Janine Turner and Rob Morrow. Hated each other. On screen, Maggie O'Connell and Joel Fleischman had electric chemistry, their romantic tension driving storylines for years. Off screen, Janine Turner and Rob Morrow couldn't stand each other. The conflict started early. Morrow thought Turner was unprofessional, often late, unprepared with lines. Turner thought Morrow was arrogant, constantly making script changes without consulting anyone. Their mutual dislike grew toxic. Between takes, they wouldn't speak. They'd stand on opposite sides of the set, communicating through assistants. Directors had to schedule their scenes carefully, getting all their shots quickly before the tension exploded. The cast tried to mediate. Barry Corbin invited them both to dinner, hoping they'd talk it out. They sat in silence for 2 hours. John Corbett suggested a group therapy session. Morrow refused. The animosity affected their performances, but weirdly it made the chemistry better. All that real tension, that genuine frustration, it bled into their scenes. Joel and Maggie's fights felt authentic, because Morrow and Turner were channeling real anger. Their rare tender moments felt hard-won because the actors were actually overcoming genuine hostility. When Morrow left the show, Turner reportedly celebrated. When asked about it years later, both actors remained diplomatic, claiming they simply had different working styles. But everyone on set knows the truth. Northern Exposure's central love story was played by two people who genuinely despised each other. Number 12. The show's supernatural elements were constantly censored.
Hi, Chris.
Northern Exposure featured ghosts, visions, mystical experiences, and unexplained phenomena. Characters saw their dead relatives. Objects moved on their own. Reality bent. The magical realism made the show unique and strange. But CBS hated it. Network executives constantly pushed back against supernatural storylines, demanding they be explained rationally or cut entirely. Joshua Brand fought them episode after episode. He wanted Northern Exposure to exist in a space where magic was real, where the spiritual and physical worlds overlapped. CBS wanted a quirky small-town comedy, nothing more. The compromise was brutal. Scripts were rewritten to make supernatural moments ambiguous. Was that really a ghost, or just imagination? Did that really happen, or was it a dream? The vagueness frustrated Brand, but it was the only way those stories survived. Some episodes lost entire supernatural plot lines in editing. One script about Native American spirits was cut down so severely it made no sense. Another about Joel communicating with his dead uncle was reshot to suggest hallucination instead of actual contact. The censorship continued for the entire run. Brand would write magic. CBS would demand reality, and the final product split the difference, leaving viewers wondering what was real and what wasn't. That ambiguity became part of the show's charm, but it was never the intention. It was a compromise born from network fear. Number 11, John Corbett was added, last minute to save the show.
Well, they know it's our natural place on the food chain. Well, why do you think we have these incisors? It's for tearing into the meat, blood dripping off the fangs.
Nothing. Total blank. It's cabin fever season.
Chris Stevens, the philosophical DJ played by John Corbett, is one of Northern Exposure's most beloved characters. But he wasn't in the original concept. The first season featured Joel, Maggie, Maurice, Holling, and the residents of Cicely. No Chris. Ratings were okay, but not great. CBS wanted something edgier, someone who could attract younger viewers. Producers panicked and created Chris Stevens overnight, literally writing the character in 2 days. They needed a voice, someone who could narrate the show's themes, make the weirdness feel intentional. Enter John Corbett, a struggling actor who had done mostly commercials and bit parts. He auditioned with a monologue he improvised about existentialism and breakfast cereal. The producers hired him immediately. Chris was added to season 2 as a recurring character, and audience response was overwhelming. Fans loved his rambling radio broadcasts, his unexpected depth, his combination of ex-con background and philosophical sophistication. Corbett was promoted to series regular, and Chris became the heart of the show. The character that saved Northern Exposure, the voice that defined its unique tone, was an afterthought created in desperation. Sometimes the best parts of a show are the accidents, the last-minute additions that shouldn't work but somehow become irreplaceable. Number 10. The writers were fired en masse. After season 3,
Hello, this is Dr. Fleischman.
Hello, this be Doc Fly.
After season 3, Northern Exposure won the Emmy for Outstanding Drama Series. The cast celebrated, the network ordered more episodes, and then CBS fired the entire writing staff. All of them. Joshua Brand and John Falsey wanted to take the show in a more experimental direction, pushing the magical realism further, taking bigger creative risks. CBS wanted safer, more accessible stories that wouldn't confuse casual viewers. The conflict reached a breaking point during contract negotiations. The writers demanded creative freedom. CBS demanded control. Neither side would budge. So, the network made a shocking decision. They fired everyone and hired a completely new writing team, people who had never worked on the show, who didn't understand its voice or its characters. The new writers tried their best, but the transition was disastrous. Episodes felt generic, paint-by-numbers drama, without the quirky soul that made Northern Exposure special. Longtime fans noticed immediately. The dialogue felt wrong. The storylines felt conventional. By mid-season 4, CBS realized their mistake and quietly brought back several original writers. But the damage was done. The show's identity had been fractured. Some original writers refused to return, burned by the betrayal. Others came back reluctantly, working under tighter network control. Northern Exposure survived the mass firing, but it lost something essential, a creative freedom it never fully recovered. Number 9, Elaine Miles was cast by complete accident.
We had a fine stallion. Everybody said how lucky he was to have such a horse.
Dr. Fleischman's office.
Pete Gilliam on one.
Marilyn, we only have one.
Elaine Miles played Marilyn Whirlwind, Joel's silent, mysterious receptionist, who became a fan favorite. But she never auditioned for the role. She wasn't an actress. She was a secretary who drove her mother to an audition. Miles's mother was trying out for Marilyn, reading lines in the waiting room. Elaine sat nearby, bored, occasionally feeding her mother lines when she forgot them. A casting director overheard Elaine's deadpan delivery and asked her to read. Miles refused. She wasn't interested in acting and didn't want to be on TV. The casting director persisted, practically begging. Finally, Miles agreed to read just to make them stop asking. She delivered the lines with zero emotion, complete flatness, annoyed that she was wasting time. The producers loved it. They told her she had the part. Miles said no thanks and started to leave. They offered money. She still refused. They kept increasing the offer until Miles finally agreed, figuring she'd do a few episodes and quit. She stayed for 5 seasons. Her complete lack of acting training became the character's strength. Marilyn's stoic silence, her mysterious presence, her ability to say everything while saying nothing, that was just Elaine Miles being herself. She never took an acting class. She just showed up and stood there. And somehow, she created one of television's most memorable characters completely by accident. Number 8. The show filmed during a real smallpox outbreak scare.
Can you fix it?
Let me try again.
Surrounded by cats. Lots and lots of cats. In a drafty old house which you've remodeled all.
In 1991, during season 2, a rumor spread through Roslyn that someone on the Northern Exposure crew had smallpox. It wasn't true, but panic spread fast. The supposed Patient Zero was a production assistant who'd returned from overseas with a severe rash. A local doctor saw him, panicked, and reported possible smallpox to the health department. Within hours, Roslyn was in chaos. The health department quarantined the entire production. Cast and crew were confined to the set, forbidden from leaving until tests came back. Residents were warned to stay away. The CDC sent investigators. For 3 terrifying days, production shut down while everyone waited. Cast members stayed in nearby hotels, isolated, scared. Some called lawyers, asking if they could sue for endangerment. Others called family to say goodbye, genuinely believing they might die. Tests finally came back negative. The production assistant had chickenpox, a totally different virus. The quarantine was lifted, filming resumed, but the experience left scars. Several crew members quit immediately, too traumatized to continue. The cast remained shaken for weeks, and CBS never publicized the incident, worried it would damage the show's wholesome image. That week of terror, when Northern Exposure's cast thought they might actually die in a Washington town pretending to be Alaska, remains one of the strangest, scariest moments in the show's history. Number 7, Peg Phillips, was 70 years old and had never acted before.
I'd like to do dance.
Dance?
Uh-huh. Rudy's in Portland. He drives a truck. And he writes pastoral poetry in his spare time. And Matthew.
Peg Phillips played Ruth Ann Miller, the elderly shopkeeper who ran Cicely's general store. She was warm, wise, and beloved by everyone. And before Northern Exposure, she'd never acted in anything. Not a play, not a commercial, nothing. Phillips was a retired accountant living in Seattle who'd taken an acting class on a whim at age 67. Her teacher mentioned an audition for Northern Exposure. Phillips went as a lark, never expecting anything. She read for the producers with no training, no technique, just genuine warmth. and a lifetime of real experience. They hired her on the spot. Phillips was terrified. She didn't know how to hit marks, didn't understand camera angles, and had never memorized lines before. The cast protected her, quietly teaching her between takes. Rob Morrow showed her how to find her light. Janine Turner practiced scenes with her in the trailer. Barry Corbin walked her through technical aspects of filming. Phillips absorbed everything, improving rapidly. By season 2, she was a natural, delivering nuanced performances that earned critical praise. She worked on Northern Exposure until she was 76 years old, then retired from acting completely. She'd started at 70, became a television regular, and proved that it's never too late to begin. Ruth Ann's gentle wisdom wasn't acting. It was just Peg Phillips being herself, bringing 7 decades of life experience to a character who needed exactly that. Number 6. The show's music budget was bigger than most episode budgets.
Hey, Maurice. My rump's as numb as a chuck roll.
Northern Exposure was known for its eclectic soundtrack, featuring everything from classical to jazz to obscure folk songs. Each episode was carefully scored with expensive licensed music that perfectly matched the show's tone. But the music budget was insane, sometimes costing more than the actual episode production. CBS allocated $30,000 per episode for music licensing. By season 3, some episodes were spending over $100,000 just on songs. The network demanded cuts. Producers refused, arguing that music was essential to the show's identity. The conflict escalated. CBS threatened to impose strict music budgets. Producers threatened to use only public domain songs, which would ruin the show's contemporary feel. Finally, a compromise was reached. CBS would allow high music budgets if producers cut costs elsewhere. So sets became simpler, guest stars were paid less, location shoots were reduced. Everything was sacrificed to preserve the music, and it worked. Northern Exposure's soundtrack became legendary, influencing how television used music for decades. Shows like The Sopranos and Grey's Anatomy borrowed its approach, but few people know it nearly bankrupted the production. Every beautiful song, every perfect musical moment came at the cost of something else. The show looked cheaper in later seasons, not because of declining quality, but because every dollar went to the music that made Northern Exposure unforgettable. Number 5. The Native American characters sparked massive controversy.
Ed, let me ask you something. What does belonging to your own tribe mean to you?
Bingo. Could lead to a crippling injury or death. I'd forgotten how good it feels.
Northern Exposure featured several Native American characters, including Marilyn Whirlwind and Ed Chigliak. The show was praised for representation, for giving Indigenous characters depth and complexity rarely seen on television. But behind the scenes, controversy raged. Native American advocacy groups criticized the show for cultural appropriation, for having white writers put words in Indigenous characters' mouths. They argued that while the representation looked positive, it was still controlled by non-native creators who didn't truly understand the culture. The criticism intensified when it was revealed that some Native American extras were actually white actors in makeup. Production claimed it was necessary because there weren't enough Native actors available in Washington. Indigenous groups called it racist and inexcusable. Protests erupted. The show hired Native American consultants to review scripts, but the damage was done. Some Indigenous actors on the show supported the representation, saying it was better than invisibility. Others felt used, tokens in a white show, pretending to be progressive. The debate never resolved. To this day, Northern Exposure is cited in discussions about representation, both as an example of trying to do better and as a cautionary tale about good intentions executed poorly. The show wanted to honor Native American culture, but wanting isn't the same as succeeding. And decades later, the question remains: was Northern Exposure's representation groundbreaking or just another form of erasure? Number 4. The final season was filmed without half the main cast.
Beautiful morning, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Has possibilities.
I'll say.
You're in a good mood.
Yeah. You know what?
Hello. Who are you?
What's it look like? I'm the subconscious manifestation of your primal male fantasy fixation.
Season 6 was Northern Exposure's last, and it was a disaster. Rob Morrow was gone after 9 episodes. Janine Turner appeared sporadically, fulfilling contractual minimums. John Cullum missed several episodes due to health issues. The show that once had a tight ensemble was suddenly held together by Barry Corbin and a handful of supporting characters. CBS should have canceled it. Instead, they ordered a full season and forced producers to make it work. New characters were added desperately. Paul Provenza joined as a new doctor replacing Joel, but audiences rejected him immediately. He wasn't Joel, and nobody cared about his stories. Terry Polo was brought in as a love interest, but she had no chemistry with anyone. The scripts became increasingly bizarre, grasping for relevance. One episode featured a dream sequence that lasted 15 minutes. Another had characters breaking the fourth wall randomly. The show was dying, and everyone knew it. Cast members who remained were demoralized, showing up because contracts demanded it. The final episode aired with little fanfare, a quiet ending to a show that had once been brilliant. CBS didn't market it as a series finale, because they hoped to revive it later. They never did. Northern Exposure ended not with closure, but with exhaustion, a shell of itself limping across the finish line. Number 3. John Q. Solemn suffered a stroke during filming.
Ghosts who talk. Better days. If it weren't for all the neurotics and psychics and cynics.
The animals expect us to prematurely end their natural lives. Well, they know it's our natural place on the food chain. Well, you know, why do you think we have these incisors? You know, it's for tearing into them.
During Season 5, John Cullum suffered a minor stroke while filming a scene at the Brick. He was midline when his face drooped and he collapsed. The crew thought he was doing a bit, improvising some physical comedy. Then someone noticed he wasn't moving. Paramedics arrived within minutes. Cullum was rushed to the hospital, diagnosed with a transient ischemic attack, a warning stroke. Doctors told him to rest for months, possibly retire. Cullum refused. He was back on set within 2 weeks against medical advice, determined to finish the season. But he wasn't the same. His speech was slightly slurred. His movement was slower. His memory, once perfect, now faltered. He'd forget lines he'd known for years. The crew accommodated him quietly, giving him longer breaks, fewer scenes, simpler dialogue. But Cullum hated being treated differently. He pushed himself harder, staying late to rehearse, refusing help. The stroke scared him into realizing his mortality, but it also made him treasure every moment on set. He later said those final seasons were the most meaningful of his career because he knew they could end at any moment. When Northern Exposure was canceled, Cullum retired from regular television work. The stroke hadn't killed him, but it had changed him. And Holling Vincourt's final episodes carry an unspoken weight. A man performing while his body betrays him. Number 2, the show filmed its ending 3 different times.
We're in Poland. Who are they?
Your family.
When CBS finally canceled Northern Exposure, nobody knew how to end it. The producers filmed 3 completely different finales, each with a different tone, different resolution, different message. The first ending was dark. Joel dies in a plane crash. Cicely mourns. Life continues without him. It was honest, brutal, and CBS hated it. Too depressing, they said. Film something else. The second ending was whimsical. Joel wakes up and realizes Cicely was all a dream. He's still in New York, still waiting to start his Alaskan assignment. It was a twist ending that negated the entire series. Test audiences revolted. CBS demanded a third version. The final ending was ambiguous. Joel leaves Cicely, but doesn't definitively say goodbye. Maggie watches him go. Life continues. It's open-ended, hopeful but melancholy. CBS approved it reluctantly. But here's the secret. All 3 endings were filmed and still exist. The dark ending was locked in a vault, never aired. The dream ending leaked years later as a bonus feature on DVDs. And the ambiguous ending is what viewers saw. Some cast members prefer the dark ending, saying it was more truthful. Others are glad it never aired, claiming it would have ruined the show's legacy. The debate continues among Northern Exposure fans. Which ending was real? The answer, all of them, and none of them. The show ended 3 times, and somehow that's perfect for a series that never believed in one single reality. Number 1. The real Cicely died before the show. Premiered
Of creating a utopian society, a colony of freethinkers, of artists. First thing they needed.
I'll give you a hand.
I'll be fine.
If you want, I can wait and drop you off.
Northern Exposure's fictional town was named Cicely, supposedly after Cicely Bell, a character mentioned in the show's mythology as the town's founder. But Cicely was a real person. Cicely Gagnon was a woman from Roslyn, Washington, who helped the producers scout locations, find local talent, and navigate the small town's politics. She was essential to the show's creation, the person who made filming in Roslyn possible. In early 1990, before the pilot aired, Cicely died suddenly from a heart attack. She was 53 years old. Joshua Brand was devastated. He'd promised to name the town after her as a thank you for all her help. He kept that promise, but she never saw it. The pilot aired months after her death. Her family watched, crying as the town's name appeared on screen. Brand dedicated the first season to her memory, though few people noticed the small credit buried at the end of the final episode. Roslyn held a memorial attended by the cast, mourning a woman most of them had never met. And from that point forward, every time someone said Cicely, it was a tribute to a real person who'd helped build a fictional world, but never got to see it thrive. Northern Exposure's greatest success was also its greatest tragedy. The show became famous. The town became famous. But Cicely herself was gone, remembered only in the name that echoed through 6 seasons of television. Northern Exposure wasn't just a quirky show about Alaska. It was strokes, salary wars, accidental casting, and a town that became famous by pretending to be somewhere else. A show where magic was real, but network executives kept trying to explain it away. So, if you loved these secrets, hit like, subscribe, and tell us which fact shocked you most. Because in Cicely, nothing was ever what it seemed, not even Cicely itself.